Today on Legends of Rod and Reel, the story of an Ohio angler who, long ago, dreamed of making it big. For bass angler Joe Tόμας, it appears goal accomplished. He caught the fish, got the money, and now makes a living in front of the television cameras. Joe Tόμás, today on Legends of Rod and Reel.
All who seek fish are not created equal. Some anglers who ply the waters possess a passion unbridled, with catching skills unmatched. With all fish, they see eye to eye. They are the Legends of Rod and Reel.
Ohio state slogan reads, "So much to discover." So true in the southern city of Cincinnati. A diverse metropolitan area made up of more than 2 million people. Baseball and big boats made this town famous, but it seems Cincinnati's winds are a-changin' these days. Just east of town, Ohio's newest hometown star rolls along country roads.
Yeah, it's out in the sticks, man.
Professional bass angler Joe Tόμás lives for early morning drives.
Get to go see Dad today. I haven't fished with my dad probably in about a year.
Before sunrise, Joe drops his boat into Little Lake Winoka. By all accounts, his first home water.
I can't remember the last time I put a boat in the water and went fishing here. It's been years and years.
Joe got his fishing start here nearly 40 years ago.
This is it. This is it. And it doesn't really look any different than it did 25, 30 years ago. He catches more damn fish off that dock.
Joe's mom and dad now live on the lake.
Hey, buddy, you know where there's any fish around this place?
And Joe rarely gets a chance to come back and fish.
Hey, they won't bite that buzzbait. You better put that thing away.
Exactly why this is a special day.
Sure a lot better than the 87 model I got.
Joe and his dad, Jim, just fish for fun.
There's one. Oh.
You gotta be kidding me.
These two together,
What are you throwing?
Nothing.
well, think Southern Ohio's version of Laurel and Hardy.
At each other's mind and throat.
Big fish, big fish, big fish. Oh, he came off. Now that was a dollar fish right there. Did you see it?
I thought a crappie.
Oh, Dad!
I thought that was crappie.
Don't you do that! That was a nice one, man. That was a two-pounder.
That was a good fish.
Yes, Jim Tόμás may be Joe's favorite fishing buddy.
Well, there went my dollar.
There went your dollar. You better hope I don't get this one in the boat. Oh, baby, baby, baby. That's a good fish, Dad.
Boy, he's got a strong head on him.
He's not 3, but he's 2 1/4.
Look how fat.
He's just a porker.
Looks like it's ready to spawn.
I know it. Since the time that I was 16 years old, he was always in the back of the boat, letting me do my thing. I think he just likes to watch me fish. And if he catches one, cool. And if he doesn't, that's cool too. You got me rooting through the box, Dad.
Joe lives for the act of catching fish.
I could take a piece of hardware, some inanimate object, a spinnerbait, a worm, a crankbait, whatever it was, and I was able to figure out how to make a fish chase it. To me, that's what it was all about.
But here's the one thing about Joe. Fishing for fun like this just isn't normally in the books for the guy. Heck, just listen to his dad.
We haven't fished together, I guess, in a year. He's gone all the time.
Yep, Joe Tόμás keeps pretty busy these days. This is the story of Joe Tόμás, professional bass angler, Joe Tόμás the promoter, now Outdoor Channel television guru, and Joe Tόμás, the all-around nice guy.
And you've got to really, really want it. And you've got to have a burning desire to do whatever it takes, to drive however many miles you have to drive, to spend how many ever nights sleeping in your truck, to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Joe long ago started as a tournament angler who learned to take home paychecks and play the promotion game. Still, he's just a guy who loves to fish.
For the most part, you know, when I'm on the water now, I'm either competing, I'm trying to figure out where the fish are in practice for a competition, or I'm in competition, or I'm filming a show. And all of those require you to get the job done. And so there's a good bit of pressure on you just about every time you step in a boat.
What you learn about Joe's success breeds from a simple day out on a boat with his dad on their home lake.
Dad, he was right on the bank, little guy. If you can catch fish in Ohio, you can catch fish anywhere. I think that's been an attribute for me, really, living in a place where fishing was tough.
A key to Joe's story you will learn is family.
Hey, Mom. Whoa, look at it. There's one thing you can always guarantee in this house. Look at this. There's always going to be food on the table. Hello.
And how the Thomas family helped turn Joe Thomas into a bass fishing legend.
He has always been a person with a great work ethic, and that's what's really carried him.
Oh, this could be the dollar.
It's no secret.
Yes, sir. I think that's a dollar fish right there.
Joe Thomas knows how to catch fish.
You think that fish is 13? Well, then I'm not even going to measure him. I'm just going to call a dollar.
I think
on
you ought
that.
to measure him.
The question is, how did it all start for Joe? Well, you need to go back to the early 1970s.
I think probably my first real vivid memories were my trips to Canada with my parents. We would go to these pristine lakes and streams and fish for pike and walleye and speckled trout. And I think that's probably what hooked me more than anything, was to go to a place where you caught a lot of fish. And I still, to this day, I think that's so important.
Of course, the only problem was when he'd go fishing, he didn't want to go home. Back then, he just loved catching northern pike, and now he hates them.
That's a fact.
What the difference is.
That's a fact.
Then one day, the big fish hit.
I catch this fish, and I can only remember it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I've got no way to get home. It's 7 miles to the house, and I wanted to weigh this fish so bad I couldn't stand it. So I grabbed my tackle box, and I grabbed my fishing rod, and I take this big bass, and I'm a little guy, and I take this big bass and I go walking down State Route 125, which is a 4-lane highway. I went to a store and they weighed it on an official scale, and long and short of it is, this guy from Cincinnati Enquirer comes out and he wants to interview me about this big bass I caught. And I'm like, cool. So I tell him the whole story, and a couple of days later in the Sunday Enquirer, which was the big newspaper in town, there's this article, Big Bass by Teenager, and it was all downhill from there. I was hooked 5/0 through the jaw.
About that same time, the Thomas family started visiting local Lake Winoka, about an hour east of Joe's hometown.
So this is it. This is where it all started, right here. We had a camper on this lot, on this spot right here.
Campsite 103, where Joe met this guy.
We always stayed in a broke-down truck. We did it the hard way.
Pat Hailstones, a Lake Winoka bass pro who agreed to take the kid fishing in the campground.
But I was expecting to see like I don't know, somebody my age. I'm expecting something, you get those kind of perceptions of what you're going to meet. And anyway, here comes this kid, and I'm like, what's up, babe? And we hook up, and I said, you want to go night fishing? He's like, yeah, man, let's go.
Well, he's my best friend. He's been my best friend ever since probably about the third day I ever went fishing with him.
Pat helped get Joe into his first fishing club, stretching the truth a bit about Joe's 16 years of age.
And Pat said, you look 18 to me, let's see what we can do.
Yes, young Joe Thomas mastered club tournaments and earned a reputation as a promising bass angler. Joe liked people, and he liked sponsors.
And he's always been a great promoter.
In fact, Joe gets credit for developing and wearing some of the first tournament shirts. Even his boat rig attracted a bunch of attention. The tournament travel was endless and his days long, but Joe persisted and slowly succeeded as a pro bass angler.
I was basically one of those guys that was I was this close so many times, but I guess, it probably all came together in 1987.
Joe qualified for his first Bassmaster Classic that year. 3 years later, he finally hit gold. It was June 23rd, 1990.
I happened to dig this up. This is the one right here. This was the 100 grand. This was a big deal.
Joe won the Red Man All-American, at the time fishing's biggest cash payout. He got the money and the girl.
It was pretty awesome. It was definitely wonderful feeling knowing that we're thinking about getting married and now we have a great new start.
This was probably the milestone in my career, and it set the precedence for, you know, for what all has happened since then.
But little did Joe know, or could he see, the curves ahead in his road of life.
For the first time in 20 years of fishing, I start to see my career do this.
Up next, a single phone call will change Joe's entire fishing career, and Joe Thomas attempts to pass along his bassy passion. But first, here's another tip from a legend of rod and reel.
One of the things I learned a long time ago about when you approach a dock is you want to fish the outside perimeters of the dock first. Normally what I'll do is I'll make a long cast to the dock and I'll fish that outside corner post that I'm approaching. That'll be my first cast. And once I've fished that post thoroughly, what I'll do is I'll reel the bait in and probably make a second cast to either the outside, the opposing corner, or one of the center posts. And if I haven't got a bite then, that's when I really try and get into the meat of the dock. I look for places where there's a T or an elbow. You can see up underneath there. And then if I can make the cast, I'll skip it way back into the meat of the dock. And that's usually where the fish is going to be. But the one thing you want to do is always fish the perimeter first, because if there are fish hanging out on that perimeter and you make that cast up underneath, you've lost the chance to catch those fish and catch multiple fish on a dock. So it's important. Work the outside first and then go for the kill.